Hi, today I'm going to be talking to you about improvising on a blues scale on the chord of E, A and B, which is the blues pattern. E is the home chord, so that's the one we start on and we return to. But don't worry, you don't have to learn to play that. I've got a backing track. So I should talk about my equipment really. I'm recording this on an iPad in which I did the backing track on GarageBand. I've sent it to me on my phone because I can't play and video at the same time. I'm playing it through a boom bar here, and I've also got a little amplifier down here as well, which my electroacoustic is plugged into. Okay, so what's the blues sound like? We all know what it sounds like, even if you don't know what it's called. And it sounds, I'm going to do a little demonstration for you now using the blues scale that we're going to be working on today. Okay, so that was the whole cycle and it goes round twice. So first of all, we should talk about the terminology. Forgive me if you know this already, but just to check that everyone is along on the same level. The names of the strings: E, A, D, G, B, E. Not terribly easy to remember. You can use the elephants and donkeys grow big ears, or you can use Eddie ate dynamite, goodbye Eddie, which is slightly more interesting if you like people getting blown up. Okay, so also we've got the frets, the gap between these are called fret bars, and the gaps between them are called frets. So that's fret 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and so on. We're only going to be using fret 3 and 2. So the scale is 3rd fret on the highest sounding lowest looking E string, and then off. Same thing on the B string, and then it's 2nd fret on and off on the G string, D string, A string, and then 3rd fret on the lowest sounding highest looking E string. Okay, I think what we should do is maybe play that together. So we'll do it dead slow to start with. So we'll do 4 counts on each note. So here we go, starting 3rd fret on the highest E string. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Then 3rd fret on the B. 3, 4. Then 2nd fret on the G. Then off. Then same on the D. Then same on the A. And 3rd fret on the E here. Okay, so that's the scale. Let's try it a little bit quicker now. So if you've got your fingers, got finger 1, 2 and 3, that must be no surprise. Finger 1 is in the 1st fret, finger 2 is in the 2nd fret, and finger 3 is in the 3rd fret. So you might think, well, if we're not playing these, why do we need them? But actually it's better technique, and I probably make it look easy. I'm no speed guitarist, but if you've got them all down together, you don't have to move around too much. If you do it like I know a lot of people want to, which is, even though you're not having to move too much, and it's probably neater in the brain for you to think of it that way, it's actually better to keep them all assigned. So it's like players on a football pitch. They all have their own positions, and therefore you're playing a lot better rather than just running around like headless chickens. Okay, so that's the terminology. Let's try the scale now with 2 counts on each note. Again, starting in the same place. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and off. 3rd fret, B, and off. 2nd fret, G, and off. Okay, you might want to pause the video and have another go at that if you want to have a go. It's all about reinforcing that physical memory. So your fingers know exactly where to go. I'm sure none of you have to really concentrate on tying your shoes or your trainers or whatever. And that's because you've been doing it for ages, so you know exactly how to do it and still have a conversation with someone as well. So that's what physical memory is, and it's all through repetition. So now, about improvising, these notes, the scale that I've just shown you, are basically the words of musical sentences that you can make up. So as long as you stick to these frets and these strings, you can't go wrong. You can't play a wrong note, which is great. But when you're starting to learn to improvise, and improvise means making it up as you go along, you need to know how to formulate the sentences into what you sort of want to musically say. I know that sounds a bit strange, but music is a language, and we're trying to say things with languages. Okay, so what I would suggest you do first, and I will leave this backing track, I'll leave a backing track playing on the end of this video, so that you can either record it and play along to it, or just repeat that bit of the video over and over, if that's what you want to do. Okay, so I'm just going to start again off my phone. Don't try and be too clever too soon. So if I just start on the 3rd fret here. So the biggest mistake that people make is either they're too scared to try and play something and get it wrong, which is always going to be a problem to start with. But as I suggest, keep it simple to start with. So you saw I just started with 1 note. Your lifeline all the way through when you're improvising is the beat. So for example, let me do you a bad one when you're not listening to the beat. Here we go, my wonderful phone again. That's enough of that. But you've got to stick to the beat. The drum track is pretty heavy on the backing track that I've done, just to help you be able to feel exactly where the beat is. And what you'll find is your brain will wander off and start wondering what you're having for tea, and it'll probably go wrong or something like that. Okay, so I'll leave the backing track playing at the end of this video. Just one last thing I wanted to say. When I was talking about improvisation being a musical, creating musical sentences, you need to really understand the language as well. And the only way you can do that is by listening to different people that play blues guitar. And there's other instruments that play blues as well, but the guitar is the most famous one, and probably the easiest as well. But I'm just looking down at my list here. So on YouTube, there's a guy called Leadbelly. Now, he did, but a recording of him in 1944. The blues, it's sad. You know, Sunday night before you have to go to school and you're feeling a bit sort of miffed and feeling a bit blue is what we say. And so it's it all comes out sort of sadness, and it comes out of the oppression of the slaves in the turn of the century in America. And they say it started near Memphis, but probably all over as well. So it comes from these sort of African slaves. So Lead Belly, 1944. It's very sad. Not a lot of guitar playing in it, and it is just an audio track with a photo of Lead Belly. Secondly is B.B. King, which is doing a fantastic live performance. It looks around about, I don't know, 1960, late 60s, early 70s. B.B. King was an amazing blues guitarist. I wouldn't ask you to look at anything else. But there's a bit of banter. Just take in the whole atmosphere of the concert, because it's amazing. Look at who's in there, and some of the things he's saying as well about racial discrimination against him and his band as well. But the way he plays, and you can see him almost talking as he's playing, which is the musical sentence thing. Thirdly, Stevie Ray Vaughan, an American guitarist who died very young, who's playing a track by Jimi Hendrix, also someone that's worth a watch as well, using blues music. But he's doing a song by Jimi Hendrix called Voodoo Child, which is fantastic. And again, they're just using the blues scale, admittedly not down here, but all over the place. And they use lots of other techniques to embellish their performances, bending notes and all that sort of thing, which I might be able to talk about in another video. Finally, Gary Moore, and I've deliberately chosen people that you wouldn't necessarily have heard of. Gary Moore was a fantastic British guitarist, technically fantastic. I have to confess, this is one of my favourite tunes of his. He did a whole album based on blues, and his tune is called Still Got the Blues for You. And actually some of his solos and stuff go a bit jazzy as well, so it shows what you can do with the blues scale, and what other words and notes you can put in it to change what you want to say. Okay, I'm going to play the backing track one more time. I might play along, just so it's just not a blank canvas. Here we go. Okay, well done. Check out those YouTube channels, YouTube videos, and check them out. They're really good. Thanks for listening.